I wanted to document a conversation with someone that had a monumental impact on my life, someone I took a lot from personally, a mentor, a coach, a confidant, a best friend, and a father. Dad, thanks for coming out.
Happy to be here.
So, what is a father's role?
To nurture their children, to lead, to mentor, to coach.
Do you see similarities between coaching and fatherhood,
Of course.
and even a manager, being a manager?
Managing and coaching is the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Being a father, a manager, it's exactly the same. And I mean, 100%. 100%. Coaching is management. Coaching is fatherhood.
So, I'm turning 30 this year and this next year. And, eventually fatherhood is going to be something that comes up.
Yep.
So give me some advice. Give me some advice on, the pitfalls, what to expect, how your life changes. Yeah.
Let's start with how your life changes. All your dreams and aspirations are just, I don't want to say cut off like it's a negative or pushed to the side, but it's like you reevaluate your life. Your whole life changes because now you're no longer self-focused. You're more focused on your baby, your family, So it's that as far as that goes, that's out the door.
Right.
And I know it sounds like I'm saying it in a negative way, but it's definitely not in a negative way.
That's a huge perspective shift. I mean,
it is. It is. Your life, how you feel, and it's your feeling. It's not what you're supposed to do. You start thinking solely of the child and of the family. It's no longer like, oh, I want to do this. I want to go to Japan. It's not about that anymore.
Right.
Now it's more like, what are we gonna do? What do we want to do? You know what I'm saying? Like stuff like that. And it's weird. It's weird, But that's what it is. Now, what was the other?
Well, on that, is that all the more reason to live now, or at least enjoy the time, that you're not a father, like in my perspective? Does that give the okay to go and try to live that life that you can now, because things are going to change when you do have a kid? Is that something that you think that I should plan that out?
I think you should live your life the way you want to live it right now.
Mm-hmm.
If it means travel, it means travel. If it means grind, it means grind. I think it's something you want to do right now. That's perfectly fine. Mm-hmm. I'm just saying, when you do have your child, it's like your focus changes. It just changes, And it's not the outside world telling you to do this. It's something that's just in you. It just happens, and sometimes you may not realize that it even happened.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And your friends are saying, like, hey, yo, what the hell? We used to do this, we used to do that. Like, all right.
It's like you see that with relationships too, where the friends
Yeah.
But I guess that's just another level where it's like, oh yeah, my life isn't even, like, that's not the main thing of it's just so crazy to even think from that perspective, because obviously without a child, my life is about me and setting myself up for that life. But I'm looking at it through the perspective of how can I make my situation better. But having somebody else that is more important than you is such a crazy concept.
No, it really is. It really is, and it'll just hit you like a ton of bricks. And you're not gonna feel bad about it.
Mm-hmm.
When it's your friends will be like, oh, you're with your wifey now, and you don't want to go hang out anymore. That's much different. Mm-hmm. When you have a kid, nobody's saying that, because they're like, he's got his kid. Let him take care of his kid. That kind of thing. You know what I'm saying?
Must be a cool job.
It's an okay job. The whole diapers thing.
I always, and maybe it's because
You didn't mention pitfalls.
Maybe it's because I'm an only child, but I always just thought it was the coolest job in the world to be a father, just to be a dad. Like, I've always wanted to have I guess, maybe create a family of my own, a bigger family and whatnot, and probably stems from being an only child. But even when I was younger, it was just I always loved kids, and
Oh yeah.
and so part of me is extremely looking forward to that. But as you said, I don't want to rush, this stage now, because there are benefits of not having kids as
Of
well.
course.
So
Of course. There's a freedom to it.
Mhm.
There is a freedom to it. But again, once you have a child, you're not gonna feel like you lost your freedom. You know? You're gonna have a whole different type of freedom, so to speak.
It's crazy. By the way, we have 30-year-old aged, what is this, Scotch.
Yeah. It's 15-year-old, but it's been 15 years old in my house.
Sitting in his cabinet. So here, let's try this out right now. Cheers. Pretty smooth.
Tastes like old man.
Yeah, so the dynamic between coaching and fatherhood is very interesting, because the audience might not know, but you were my first coach. You were a coach in where we're from, in our local hometown and whatnot, and it's like you're even more well known than me in my own hometown. Oh, you're Coach Kirk's son.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
like
true.
that. Sometimes I get that, and it's a crazy shift. But you've impacted a lot of people. Sometimes I'll be at bars or clubs in the area, and some people from Cortland Titans days would come up to me. Oh, Speller, like, how's your dad doing? Like, I love your dad. He was the best coach ever. He's like, I never thought it was. How does it feel to be able to not only be a father to me, but also that father figure and that mentor figure, coach to a lot of other men?
I love it. I embrace it. It's part of the game. Coaching is like you're giving structure. It's all about structure. You're teaching the kids how to be adults. You really are.
Mm-hmm.
And I can only speak from my sport, but I don't see that from any other sport. It's kind of militant. It's like military. You know what I'm saying? It's like I love being able to have an impact. There's nothing more fun or enjoyable to see somebody doing something you've trained them for so many weeks, hop in the game and then they do something, and it's just like it's heartwarming.
Mm-hmm.
It is.
Yeah.
Like they just grew up.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, oh, the switch finally came in on them. So man, I love it. I love it. It's why you do it. It's why you do it.
So
Molding.
Where did the leadership qualities come from? Is it natural, or are you just a natural born leader? Is it just in your DNA? Is it something that you had to develop?
I gotta say, it's just something I was born with. I'm sure like every characteristic we have, we get from our family,
Nurture,
our parents,
innate,
our family, our friends, and certain people in my life. I had coaches.
Mm-hmm.
I had coaches, and I learned a lot from my coaches. I also learned a lot of things not to do from my coaches.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, just because you are in a position of power doesn't necessarily mean that is right too, right? Because you could have good coaches and bad coaches, and you could have good fathers and you could have bad fathers.
Absolutely. It's like, it's like, and it's something you take with you everywhere you go. When I started working, I took that into my job, and it's just a natural leadership thing. It's just, maybe I was being trained at the same time I was training the kids.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I was being trained on how to be that, I don't want to say father figure, but be that adult in the room.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's something like that, but
it's influence at the end of the day, right? You're influencing, and being an influencer now it's like a bad term, or a term that leaves a lot of sour taste in people's mouth.
Those damn influencers.
Yeah, but if you believe what you're doing is good,
See, that's what it is.
and whatnot, then you have no problem influencing. I like my position of having people that care about what I have to say or what I do, because I genuinely believe that at the end of the day, the message that I'm putting out there, what I'm doing, and how I do it is a net positive. And I like having influence. I like having an impact and a platform.
Mhm. I think it's probably less the influence rather than knowing you're like making a difference here, you're making a difference there. It's like, what people are taking from it.
But you can't make a difference without the influence. Like if you're not
No,
influencing them,
I
you're not
get
gonna make the
that,
difference.
but I don't think, like you just said, I like you like the influence.
Mhm.
I mean, I'm wondering, do you like the influence, or is it more like you like the impact your influence has on others?
Yeah, well, I like the ability to have an impact on others, and
Yeah.
without the influence,
A voice.
I wouldn't.
A voice.
Yeah, yeah. I guess because there's so many things going on in our world, so many distractions, so many people, so many voices that you're constantly hearing on social media and whatnot, to be able to break through that and actually get somebody to focus in on you and earn somebody's focus, that's actually like a really honorable thing, and something that you should be proud of, is to be able to earn their attention, because attention is like the modern day currency, is what people say now. It's in an attention economy is what we're in. So being able to steal them away from the TikTok videos and all the crap that's
With
out
everything
there,
out there, right?
with everything,
right.
all the high dopamine stuff, and be able to show, whether it's I get them in the door with a jumping high, or with just interesting content and whatnot. It's definitely a part of my life now, is creating content and having a platform, and I'm just seeing how far it goes with that. But I guess I'm honing my skills of influence in preparation one day to become a father, and these skills that I'm developing will help me there.
Yep. No, they will. They will.
So I wanted to turn the page a little bit, and I wanted to. So I'm, as I mentioned, about to be 30, and exiting the 20s. Do you see? What are your thoughts on differences between 20s and 30s, and like what you should be focusing on, or how do you see the difference between 20s and 30s?
I don't. I never have. I don't think there's any milestones. I don't think there's any areas you have to get at by a certain age and stuff like. I don't feel that way. You feel how you are. You are how you feel. It doesn't.
You've always been a lot less of a planner than me. Like
Yes,
I get that from mom.
You're an over planner in my estimation.
Yeah, I am, because I'm like, all right, 30s now.
Yeah.
It's time
But that
for a
boxes
change.
you in.
Yeah,
That boxes you in, and then you're stressing about this because, oh man, I'm almost 30. I should have had A, B, and C done, or whatever like that. It's like you're ahead of the game in a lot of areas, but now you're getting frustrated. Not necessarily you, but someone isn't. You're getting frustrated about what you didn't reach on your paperwork you wrote out. I mean,
yeah. Well, for me, it's like it's that good stress, that you stress, that you actually want some of that, or at least me personally, I want some of that stress. It allows me to continue to build and to climb and reach for more. So without a little bit of that stress, maybe I would be more content or complacent, I should say.
Right.
So I don't know. I'm always going to be a planner. Do I need to go a little bit more on the other side and live with a little bit of more spontaneity and less, like more surprise, less planning? Sure. And that's something that I'm actively practicing, but I definitely like thinking about it, because when I think of 20s to 30s, my mind is like 20s are for grinding, earning money, building a business or establishing your career, enjoying your life too, trying to balance that. It's hard to balance that, because I think that you should be more focused on grinding and getting your life set up properly rather than the fun, but you still need to enjoy the 20s, because the 20s have a couple things in there that you'll never get. Like, some people, you didn't have to go to college, but like some people get the college experience, and enjoying college, that's a good time, and I wouldn't want to trade that away. So although it doesn't mean just throw that away, you can still build a business in college, because guess what, if you're not a student athlete,
You have a lot of
so
time.
much time. You have so much time. There's no excuse not to build a business that's making $3K a month. And in college, you're rich. 3K a month.
Yeah.
3K a month feels good in college when you're, especially if you're, lucky enough to not have to worry about paying for college yourself. Like I went to a couple different colleges, but I had, you and mom helped, you guys paid for my college, and then I got my scholarship that last year that helped reimburse that. But yeah, even me as a student athlete, I was busy, but there was still time to go and build a business. So getting back to what I was saying, I think 20s about building, grinding, getting your financial situation up, enjoying, developing your skills, like your social skills and those things, your friends group. Make sure you have a solid friends group around you. And then when I think of 30s, I think of the transition of, okay, now it's the next level, a little bit more refined, a little bit more sophisticated, a little bit more purposeful and intentful, looking eventually whenever you want to get married and have kids and start that whole family process. I'm not saying that you have to in your 30s or whatnot, but at least that's when I think of like the big milestones, check off the list. That's it. So that's what I've been focusing on, and I'm not 30 yet, but that's what I'm getting into is, all right, new car. I don't want to be driving around this Honda Civic anymore. That was good for saving money and whatnot. Now I want to maybe upgrade a little bit, nothing too crazy. That, upgrade the wardrobe a little bit. And yeah, but I'm looking forward to the 30s. I think the 30s are going to be even better than the 20s.
I think I think it progressively gets better. I don't think it goes down. You know what? Of course it goes down. But I guess it goes down at a different level for everybody. Mm-hmm. Like I don't feel, I'm 56. At 56, I don't feel like I'm going down. You know what I'm saying? I'm learning new stuff constantly. You keep me up on a whole bunch of stuff that otherwise I probably wouldn't be really paying attention or focused to or anything like that. So,
and that, that's a good thing that you mentioned that. Like, I think we have a completely.
I'm pretty good at this thing.
Oh yeah? Yeah. Maybe you should start your own podcast.
No, not the podcast thing.
Oh. Maybe, so our dynamic that we have, I think, is super special in the sense where not everybody are able to be best friends with their parent and with their son.
It's hard, and sometimes it's not even sensible.
Yeah, that makes sense. For us, it really, for me, from my perspective, it felt like, I felt like you were a great father, mom was a great mother growing up. I felt loved. Yeah, I felt great about our situation. Always had a mutual respect for each other, and I always respected you a lot, obviously, and I felt like I was able to earn your respect as well.
Definitely.
And so having that level of respect, when you enter your 20s, you come back home from college and whatnot, and you have stories, and you're older now, you're not living there anymore, and it kind of changes.
You're not going to get in trouble.
Exactly. So I can actually open up a little bit more on some of the things that before, when I was living under your roof, it's like I'm not really trying to talk about with. But also I think it's just that fundamental level of respect that we had for each other, to where no matter what, at the end of the day, it's like, you're my father at the end of the day, point blank, period. But because that is so rock solid, we're able to put that to the side and then talk as equals.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's so funny. As you were talking, one of the things that popped into my head is when you were younger, and I would ask you something like, "Did you do this, this, and this?" And he'd be like, "No," and I'm like, "Chris, did you do this?" And you were like, "I can't believe you don't trust me." And he used to make us feel bad, and I was like, all right, that was a good ploy. I was like, he must be on the internet now looking at this stuff.
It probably wasn't a ploy. I probably just didn't do it.
No, I get it. But you felt disrespected.
That you didn't trust
because
me, yeah.
We didn't trust you the first time.
Mm-hmm.
And that was eye-opening for us. That was like, yeah, he didn't do it. he didn't do it.
That's crazy. Man. Yeah. One day, I work with kids often, so I always try to have, some level of me interacting with kids and trying to mentor kids. Right now it's like youth soccer, and I'm not even a soccer player.
That's hilarious.
But, they're 3 years old, so it's really just about leadership skills and just if you interact well with kids, you can do it. they get to like 7 years old and they'll start to whoop my ass in soccer. So I can't coach them past 7. But no, I feel like kids bring a youthfulness and it keeps you young.
100, definitely, no doubt about it. I mean, when I was coaching high school, I'm older. This is what I think it was about 6 years ago, 7 years ago. I'm not even sure. But when I was out there, I'm over there. I'm in the weight room. I'm lifting weights, just like solidarity. Like, look, I'm doing it.
We're doing
give
it
it your
together.
Give it 100%. I'm doing it. You do it, and everybody knows you don't have to do it. So they'd be all excited, like, yo, spells lifted, spells lifted, stuff like that. And then when I got pissed off on a play or something like that, I'd run out there and be like, come here, guard me. And I'll go do a play and I'll break the kid down who's crazy younger than me. and then I'll just be like, do that. And it's like, it's a different kind of respect that they gave me from doing it. Mm-hmm. I mean, I was able to do it, which is amazing. I trashed my knee a couple of times. But no, it's like, yes, they totally keep you young. And what you were doing when you were going through school and stuff and doing your camp stuff and everything like that, that was really cool. We love that. Mm-hmm. We love that. And all of these kids looking up to you like you're their coach. I mean, that was awesome.
Yeah, it's like that's always been there.
Yes.
It's always been there.
You had a huge connection with children.
Yeah, and so I guess if you stay youthful, I guess that's where you get your devilishly good looks from.
It's a lot of work, a lot of product, but yeah.
You remember Hartwick when I went to college that first day?
Yes, I do. The tennis chicks.
Yeah, and the girls hit on you and they were like, oh, like, is that your roommate or whatever? I'm like, don't gas this man already. His head is.
They were right. They were right. They were right.
A few less gray hairs.
Yeah, I was like, all right, thank you, ladies. That was nice.
Okay, so are there any things in the world right now that you see that, you think is a big problem, a big issue when it comes to maybe, parenting styles or the way, the attack on masculinity or any of these things, where the world is heading? What are your thoughts just generally? Do you think, what do we have to worry about or keep an eye on, like something that could really derail us? And us, I mean, as a people, as a nation, humans, America, whatever.
I'm sure it happens in cycles because that's what I've heard. But like taking disciplining your children in a certain way, and I'm not talking about beat the shit out of them, but I mean disciplining your children in a certain way. It's like that's gone to the wayside. The whole timeout thing, the whole, like, I have a friend that's a teacher, and constantly they're just erratic, and the parents come in and they're erratic with the parents, and it's just like, at what point do you control your household? At what point? And it's like, and you don't have to have an iron fist. Just, my God, let them know you're the father or mother and they are the child and they're learning from you. And it's like, that's irritating.
Yeah.
That's irritating. And you see it just all over in the supermarkets, everything. You just see it everywhere.
I just saw it today, actually, when buying these glasses.
I'm seeing it constantly. And it's just, it's crazy.
And so, yeah, what happens when a kid grows up without that strong sense of discipline and understanding, the hierarchy of things, that's going to lead to a bunch of different things. Kids that are
you're not going to respect
not aware.
You're not going to respect any figure. You're not going to respect your manager. You're not going to respect the police officer. And then that just, what's that turn? You're going to go to jail? You're going to lose your job every 2 weeks? I mean, so discipline is not just the household and the army. It's, it's all over the place.
So it's like a societal, like, you need to have discipline in the home, or else the kid's going to grow up and never really understand discipline or have any discipline or treat people with respect and having respect for other people that are, at a higher authority than you.
If they're allowed to run the household for a certain amount of years, when they go to school, they're going to be allowed to handle the teacher and the school, and then they're going to be allowed to handle their boss and the police officers. I mean, where's the win in that?
Yeah.
There's no win in that.
What are your thoughts on like public school, private school, homeschool for like this time? Because it was different. You know, I went to public school, and you know, I had a fine experience.
I've always felt, and this is with no knowledge of private school. I know nothing about private school, Catholic school, any of that stuff. I've always thought that public school is great for socialization, and your child actually having friends in school, having people that may or may not like them or whatever. And you see a good mix of the real world. You know, children are their spitting image of their parents, you know?
And byproduct of
Yeah.
that.
So if you see a kid that's like totally disrespectful, that's probably straight out of their parents, you know? So, I mean, I've never, you know, I don't know, man. Just not a thing.
So, you know, I'm out the house. You have the place to yourself, and
Not the self, but okay.
well, you have the dog.
That's a little baby.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
But what's your perspective? Like, what's next? What's your next hurdle to climb? Your next endeavor, or like how do you think about that?
For me at this point, and especially because I just hurt my foot, because of that, I mean, I've been really thinking about retirement. I just really have. You know, and I guess the reality is the hurdle is the amount of years before I'm comfortable retiring.
Yep. And then, do you see yourself going back into coaching after retirement?
Yes, 100%.
Yeah, I feel like you drive yourself nuts with that amount of time.
Yeah, but I crave it now. I just realize it doesn't allow you to sleep.
Yeah. I don't know how you were doing it for the longest time.
And I wasn't sleeping.
Because you work nights. The audience doesn't know you work nights, so you would be, during your sleeping time, you'd be coaching. And then, you know, you just wouldn't sleep and you'd go to work. You'd have like hours here and there. But yeah, that must be crazy taxing on the body. And as you are getting old, since you're old now, you know, you probably can't handle that. So
I don't know if we got it. Right? No, it's not like, you know, people look at it and think of it like, oh, it's just another job and you're only working 3-4 hours extra. You know, what's the big deal? It's not that. If you're into your sport, in my case, football, if you're into it all, before practice, your mind is racing, so there's no chance of sleep.
Yep.
When you're done practice, you're thinking about, oh, this happened, that happened, I should have done that, I should have done this, and your mind is racing, and you're not sleeping again. You know, so it's not just the hours you're actually out of the house. It's the hours you have to warm up, you have to warm down. You know, it's nuts. It's rough. It's really rough. I loved it.
Would you ever want to coach in college, or you want to stay at the high school level? What do you think about that?
If the opportunity arise, that would be great. You know, I'm not going to be actively looking at the boards to see if I can get a coaching job in college and stuff. There were opportunities. There were opportunities for like wide receivers coach and stuff like that.
Well, is coaching one of those things that, you know, gets easier or harder with age? Do you feel like you'll become better?
It gets harder, in my opinion, because it appears that people lose connection with the people they're coaching, be it older kids, younger kids, whatever. That's watching it go down. It appears that way. But then you see these coaches that like transcend, like, you know, it's like, so I think that's me. I think that's me. Like, you know, I can get in the college kid's ass if I have to get in the college kid's ass, and I can tone it down a bit for the younger kid, but not too much because they're still getting it. So, I mean, you know, I don't think it would be an issue for me, but I could see a lot of people how it could be a real issue. You know, kind of, I would think of it as a preschool teacher trying to go teach college. You know, that's a mind shift and stuff.
Yeah.
Like I see it in in college, especially with this NIL now. The kids are
It's a
kind
game
of
changer. It changes the culture.
kids are getting in control now.
Mouthy, yeah, because they're making.
I'm not even gonna say mouthy because it is still the coach's decision whether you're on the team or not. But it's more like, okay, I'll just go somewhere else. They're not reliant as much as they used to be.
Yeah,
so that's got to be hard for like Nick Saban and stuff.
Man, when I was playing, there was no NIL, and there was no players getting paid and whatnot. So the dynamic of power, the power shift there is. It changes a lot, and yeah, Nick Saban didn't want to deal with that anymore because you can't coach in the same type of way, you can't do the same type of things and tactics, and he had a stranglehold on the game there at Alabama, so partially.
And if he stayed, he still would.
I'm sure.
It's just that I'm sure he didn't want to deal with all the nonsense.
Yeah.
Oh, how much money am I getting? You better get the hell away from me, kid. You better get the hell away from me.
Yeah. Crazy. I mean, when I was playing in college, it's like you were just at the whim of the coaches, no matter what. It was like, and that was one reason why I love what I do now, and just I run my own business.
Right.
I jumping and when I was actively jumping and stuff like that, that's a one-person sport. It's all on me. It's not like you have to depend on 10 other teammates on the field, 11 people on the field in football, or like a coach to put you in or whatnot. It's just, if you can do, you can do. If you can't, then you're out, and no one's gonna care. And I was so scarred by having to depend on the opinions and whims of coaches who might not have the best interests always, or have their own intentions and their own strategies and why they're doing things.
Absolutely.
So it felt good to kind of get away from that, and I think that I was always more of a independent person, even when I was younger, but that even more so just led me to, okay, I was never going to have a 9-to-5 because I saw that as a lack of freedom. And I guess for my 20s, I really did optimize for my freedom.
And you did a damn good job.
We're working. We'll see what the 30s bring. But now I wasn't raised religious in any religion or whatnot. What are your thoughts on religion in general, religion in the household as a family, and its impact on families? Yeah. Okay,
well, religion is faith to me. It's faith. It's what you can believe in. I actually grew up Catholic, and my mom made me go to like religious instruction.
CCD.
That's what it's called now, yes.
Mm-hmm.
But and I mean, I went through all of that, and it was fine. It's just that I find, and this might be a bit controversial, but it's like I find religion to be a great thing, but people use it like a weapon. Like, oh, you have to do this because this. You have to do this because this. The plate comes around to you, you got to put 10%. No, like, I'm not in. That doesn't make sense to me. To me, let's say in the Catholic religion, I can't imagine God is like, oh, well, he didn't put 10% of his check into the basket or whatever like that. I'm like, I find that ridiculous. I just do.
Yeah, it's like the institution of religion.
You give when you can give, and that's got to be enough. If somebody has cancer and you give $20 because that's what you can afford to give right now, you know what I'm saying? Then that's plenty. And that's how I feel as far as the money goes. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, well, that is. So that's not necessarily a critique on any specific religion. You said Catholic.
I don't have critiques
the
on
Catholic religion because that's not a part of the religion that says an exact amount, a dollar amount. That's external people taking advantage of something that they see has amassed a large following and influence. And with good, there's always going to be bad. Mm-hmm. And with you can't have light without dark, and there's always going to be people that manipulate things, but that's humans and that's people that manipulate things compared to the underlying ideology itself. It's not like the ideology said, hey, churches go and steal from these people and make them pay a
And
lot
I'm not
more
saying
than
they're
what is
stealing.
ridiculous.
They're probably using it for good. It's just that you can't expect something the same from everyone. You know, it's got to be. I mean, and again, we've stayed on that too long as far as the money part of it. You know what I'm saying? Because that's the first thing to turn me off. You know, if you want to give, you give. You don't want to give, you don't give. It's as simple as that. God doesn't love you any more or less. That's that. But no, I mean, I really like religion. I like it's interesting, and you're really delving into it lately, and you know, talking to me about stuff, and it's so interesting. However, that doesn't mean I believe any certain thing. You know, I don't know what to believe at this point. I'll tell you one thing, like when something bad happens in my life, I'm in the room praying, you know, and I don't do it much, but it's, you know, it's something you know, you're hoping, you're grasping at any straw, I guess you could say.
It's a good point. It's like, well,
if there is somebody out there, please,
yeah,
you know,
that says something in itself where you know, you might as well. There's like, this is my last
I believe
shot.
in something. I just have no idea what it is.
I think that's a fair assessment. I think that's an honest, fair assessment too, because at the end of the day, I don't know, people are going to say this is 100% it, or this is 100% wrong, or whatnot. It's like, honestly, my thoughts are that it's so big and grandiose that it's like an ant trying to understand geometry. You know, like it's just too big of a thing too big of an issue or problem or something to understand for our comprehension, that maybe we're not even supposed to fully understand it. I don't even know if it's fully possible, truthfully, to fully understand it, but
it's not possible to fully understand another human being. How are we supposed to understand something that we can't see and can't touch?
And and yet innately there is something there that leads most of us to at least believe that there's something more. Something, whether it is, you know, and I've been delving into it a little bit myself. I've been reading the Bible, and I'm, you know, around halfway through. It's a big book.
It's a big book.
That's a big book. But it's been some parts I've been skimming through and whatnot, but for the most part, it's been fascinating and eye-opening, and I like to just go towards the primary source, or as close to primary source as you can when it comes to a book of stories and whatnot that many people have written. But I've already learned a ton from it. Now it's changed me as a person immensely. I've opened up to a lot of different things. I understand things about myself. I'm more deep, and situations that I went through in the past, I understand better now, and I feel like I have more knowledge that is going to equip me. So I see it as a complete win. And after the Bible, I want to read the Tao Te Ching. Have you ever heard of it?
I have not.
The Tao Te Ching. It is from the Taoist or Taoist philosophy, Taoist, or spelled with a D sometimes. It's a ancient Chinese religion, belief system. And that's where like yin and yang comes in. And
I love yin and yang.
The belief of equilibrium and without light there is in dark, and vice versa. So I know that's already where I want to go, and I think I want to collect these ideologies, and I want to collect all of these knowledge sources throughout the world, because these are literally people writing their, and I'm not saying any particular person, but this is knowledge that has been passed down. The first oldest book in the world is the Bible. The second oldest is the Tao Te Ching. And for it to last this long and affect this many people, that is a fact. Okay. And for it to last that long, you know, just, it's absolutely insane. So there has to be something there that is worth it for it to, it stood the test of time. So if you want to take it literally, if you want to take it metaphorically as symbolism, then
see, that's what it is.
You can pull, but like at the end of the day, my perspective is I'm not trying to prove or disprove. I'm just trying to learn, become more open, and become better as a person. And I feel a lot of strength just from coming and just from reading.
No, that sounds, I mean, it seems extremely interesting, all the different faiths, you know, and all the similarities, and then you have the the drastic contrasts and such. So I really enjoy the thought of it. I'm not reading a Bible.
Yeah.
I don't want to read a book. Not one book.
I used to be that way too.
I've read.
I used to think I was allergic to reading.
Again.
Mom always knew. Mom always said that I was gonna be a reader, but so she was right.
It's like you didn't know.
I had no idea because I hated reading too. But I guess I just hated being forced to read the school books. You know?
I enjoy reading a book sometimes.
Do you?
Yeah, I do. It better be a book I enjoy. It better be like I'm picking it. I'm not letting someone else. You should read this. And it's like, no, I'm not reading that.
Yeah, I think we have always been different with how we approached things, and like I've always been more. You were from a different era, and you could clearly see the contrasting differences between our eras because your era was more put your head down and work and grind and like just shut up and do your job.
Yeah, to a fault. To a fault.
Yeah, and mine also to a fault. We all have positives and negatives with that type of ideology. And then my era was more, hold on, we watched our parents just put their head down and run straight into a brick wall. Like, how about we put our head up and pause a little bit, maybe go a little bit slower, but like look around. How can we make this more efficient? How can we work smarter, not harder, as everybody says? And I think that ideology has served me well. And I think millennials pioneered that. And I think, Gen Z and Gen Alpha, I think that they are, taking it in an extreme direction. But I guess it's normal to criticize other generations. It's fun to poke fun at the Gen Z and Gen Alpha. But no, I think how we approach things, it's always fascinating how we think. And I was always I was gonna start my own business. I was gonna do my own thing, and we tell them the story.
The leaf story
about the leaf story.
Just my God! All right, I hate doing leaves. All right, at my house. So I told him, he's like, look, I'm gonna pay this guy $350 anyway to do my damn leaves. Why don't I pay you? You go out there 2-3 hours. $350. How old were you? Like 9?
I was probably like 11, yeah. 9, 10, 11.
Nah, that's too much work. I'm like, are you freaking crazy? $350?
for a
couple hours?
For a 10-year-old.
I was like, are you freaking crazy? So I was like, all right, why don't you take the money and divide some up with your friends? You give your friends $50 each for a couple hours. I'm sure they'll be happy. And he's like, nah, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. That's too much. I'm like, all right, you know what? Forget it. I'm gonna go find the leaf guy.
And you thought it was like lazy, right? Like that's
yeah. The first thing I thought of was like, wow, this guy is so fucking lazy. And it's just like certain things we just don't want to do, and we're not gonna do it. It doesn't mean we're not lazy. I mean, it doesn't mean we're lazy because you went and put your effort into so many other things. And I'm like football. You went and bust your ass training for football and all this other stuff. So there's no lazy in it. It's just that you sure as hell wasn't doing them leaves.
Well, so let me tell you, and the entrepreneurship was always there too because, so like that was an example where, that would have been like an entrepreneurial endeavor if you would have, took the money, hired.
Yeah, exactly.
But,
I was trying to manage that.
Remember with the Wii. I had like the Nintendo Wii, and I wanted the Xbox 360. So
I'm not buying you an Xbox.
So I ended up taking the Wii and finding somebody to sell it to. I took the money and I bought my Xbox 360, and I was able to do it that way. And then
very smart.
And then I sold the gum in middle school. Almost got suspended. And then
buy 12 packs and sell them as singles and make crazy
the
money.
Spread was crazy.
Yeah.
Do you remember the fatheads, the stickers? You remember?
Yes.
The Black Friday sale, I would buy the fatheads, and there was a crazy deal, like 4 for $80, and each one was like 80 or 100. Mm-hmm. And then I'd go on eBay and then sell them on eBay, and that would give me a whole bunch of cash right there. So
I honestly don't remember that.
You don't remember that?
No.
Yeah.
I don't remember the fathead endeavor.
Oh yeah, I had the A-Rod.
You know what I do remember?
What?
I remember every time you bought a video game or we bought you a video game, you'd play it, and when you were done with it, you'd sell it. And you would put it up at such a ridiculous price. I'm like, dude, people could buy it brand new for that, and yours is used. I was like, that's stupid. That makes no sense. And then he'd go ahead and sell the thing. It'd sell. I'm like, why the hell are people buying
It's
used
because
shit?
it's buy it now, man. That buy it now. People, you play on people's.
I was like, yo, Chris, start selling my video games.
But going back to the Leaf story, I think that there was a lot of value in that story because on surface level, yeah, it's like that's quite ridiculous. And it kind of is quite ridiculous. And
I just thought about the money for a kid. I'm like, that's crazy.
And I used to shovel and I would go around with my friend. I did that whole, but what does that tell you? That tells you that
you value
Chris,
your effort.
I valued my time, that free time, more than that $300. And you also have to think of it, well, I was a kid. I was happy. What was $300 didn't mean anything. It was meaningless to me. It was paper because $300, I wasn't buying anything. I had a good upbringing. You guys supplied everything I had.
No, we didn't supply everything.
Well, you guys supplied everything I neaded. Everything
yes.
I needed. I mean, I didn't get everything I want at all. And, that contrast that with different people. But it just showed you that I always valued my freedom, and I didn't want my time to always be tied down to something out of my control, even if it was apparently my time back then was worth $300. So, just a crazy little story
that's hilarious.
It is
because what we just talked about a little while ago is about like I'm not going 2 miles out of my way to save $2. It's like how much is that going to cost me if I were working that time? You know what I'm saying? It's like, so that's how I judge everything with that.
And that's I wonder where you got that from, though, because you're you used to go to A&P, ShopRite, and Stop and Shop just to get the freaking latest deals.
Who did I go with?
And I'm over here.
Who did I go with?
What? You went with me and Mom.
That wasn't my decision.
Well, all I'm saying is being dragged around to all three supermarkets, I couldn't stand it. So that might also be the reason why I'm just like, you know what? If it costs me an extra $3, I'd rather my damn time.
That's 100%.
Well, I'll when I get Mom on the podcast, I'll
get on her case about that.
I'll bring
that was
up.
all her. I'm one-stop shop.
What do you think of this 30-year-old?
I'm not a huge whiskey drinker, but it's definitely very smooth. On the last sip I just had, I was like.
I think you get a lot more of the flavor without like that crazy whiskey burn. I mean, it's still there. It's still whiskey. Mm-hmm. But, there was a time where you couldn't pay me $300 to sip some neat whiskey. But maybe that's just me about to turn 30, so I don't know.
Yeah, you don't know. When we first opened the cap, I smelled this caramel. Mm-hmm. It just smelled like sweet caramel filling up the room, and it was crazy.
I love anything craft or anything that you can actually get an experience from, and you can smell the notes.
Yes.
I mean, yes. me and my dad, we brewed our own beer, and we still do. We still need to figure out how to do it gluten-free.
I have one in the other room.
We need to do it.
Waiting.
We need gluten-free grains because I have celiac disease. So I used to be a big beer
some
guy.
Buckwheat.
Yeah, some millet.
Millet and buckwheat.
Millet and corn buckwheat, but no, I mean beer. I'm getting into wine now. We'll try it every now and then, mm-hmm. and you're not the biggest wine drinker, but you can still appreciate
I like wine. I like tasting the notes,
you
but
get the chocolate.
For me, it's like 1 or 2 glasses, and then I'm like, all right,
give me a beer.
Give me an IPA.
Yeah, for real. No, the IPAs, I definitely miss the IPAs. I think the only thing that I couldn't do without, besides beer, is like if I couldn't eat meat or I had to go vegetarian or vegan, that would kill me. That would kill me. I would give away all the beer in the world, like alcohol, whatever, cheese. Like, just don't take away my steak, the chicken.
It's funny how vegetarians don't get that.
No.
They think it's just like, all right, I'm not going to eat a potato, I'll eat a yuca. Or, no, it's not the same.
No, it's not. And, hey, and I think different people feel better eating different foods. So
that makes perfect sense. That's fine. Whatever's good. Listen,
don't push it on me.
That's how I feel about faith. Don't preach your vegetarian, vegan stuff to me. We're good. You want to talk about it, we'll talk about it. Absolutely. Don't tell me what I'm eating is disgusting, because let me tell you.
There's a lot of problems when people try to push their views on you, and that could be a whole
me
episode
in person. You talking just me, right?
I'm just saying.
Well, you talking about in general, because just me.
Oh yeah, no, you're gonna flame them.
No, but I'm saying like that really affects me.
Yeah.
Something in my upbringing, and I don't remember. And it's probably best that way. No, but I mean, tell me what I should eat.
Yeah. But yeah, what else is there? Where was your, we love camping. Camping is something that bonded us since day one. And,
Backpack.
Yes, a primitive backpacking, camping, however you want to call it. Yeah, because people can mistake what
Camping, that
means.
car camping, you park your car
Or
and you
glamping.
Glamping. Oh my God.
Yes, no, what we do, we have our backpacks, like big framed backpacks. What, aluminum frame?
Mine is.
Carbon
yours
fiber
is no frame.
I'm sure now they got
you
carbon fiber frames or something.
Yeah, but it's really going on the side of frameless now.
But like big packs, and we have our mini foldable stove, we have our night vision goggles, we have the maps and turn off our phones and whatnot, and we go out there and we sleep in a lean-to. And for those of you who don't know what a lean-to is, look it up on Google right now. Just type in lean, LEAN dash 2, T-O.
Yeah, and then let us know how many people would never do that.
Yes, basically what it is, imagine a small, literally one-room cabin, and you slice it down the middle so one side is
wide
completely open to nature, to come in and whatnot. And we would just put, with no tent, we would sleep in our sleeping bags. And one time we had a raccoon
coming at the shoes. Raccoons running around the whole place. But one time I had a raccoon, me and my father, we had a raccoon come right up, open my pack, take bread out, and sat right there eating. And I caught him with a flashlight and I took a picture. And he's just sitting there like this.
Yeah.
Right next to me. And I'm like, come on, dude.
No.
Have the courtesy to walk away.
It's more incentive when you stay in a lean-to, it's more incentive to bust your ass and climb the mountains, because then you're tired. Because if you're not tired, you're gonna
hear all of this nonsense.
The wolves come out and like they start howling, and or the coyotes, whatever they are, and they start howling. And I remember being scared every now and then when I was younger, and you'd be knocked out. So I would be the only conscious.
I sleep.
I'm able to sleep. I'm the only conscious one in the woods, and I'm hearing these coyotes, and I'm just scared.
You're the only stupid one in the woods.
No, but camping is something that I feel like is one thing that modern culture, at least here in New York and the New York City area, not a lot of people aren't really getting out in nature as much.
Think about it. I mean, it's one thing to do a hike, a walk. Anybody can do that. But who wants to rough it? You know what I'm saying? Because that's what it is. It's roughing it. It's not luxury.
Even if it's not the extreme primitive backpacking that we do, even if it's just...
But it's still not sleeping in your own bed.
Or even, it could even be a day trip, or it could just be like go out in nature, smell fresh air, And I think sometimes we overcomplicate things, and we're wondering why do I feel this way? Why do I feel depressed? Or I've never been depressed, but people, depression is a big thing, anxiety, all these different types of ailments and whatnot. And a lot of it I feel like could be solved from eat well, sleep well, get proper hydration, and get out in nature, see sunlight. Like the thing, they're looking for a magic pill, but what's the chemical concoction that I need to put in my body that's gonna have other side effects that I need to fix with another pill? Instead,
sunlight.
It's just go into sunlight. This is what we were meant for.
Walk through your park in the middle of your complex.
I really believe in that.
I'll give you that. That's absolutely true. I mean, simple as a squirrel, dude. Simple as looking at chipmunks or a squirrel, just through your window, even.
It brings some presence, and for a person, I feel like that's something I've been working on, because I am a planner, as we talked about, and I'm just so far into the future. I'm always thinking about what's next, that sometimes I could lose sight of what's now and what's here. So I've been doing a lot of research and inner work to become more present and appreciate the present moment without sacrificing my drive, without sacrificing my ability to plan in the future, because I love that about me. I wouldn't want that to change, but there needs to be some sort of presence there, because I was kind of just on to the next one. I remember breaking the Guinness World Record, and I was like,
What's next?
Andy, my best friend, came up to me. He's like, dude, enjoy it. He's like, you just did this, and I was already kind of like, all right, whatever, on next. And I just glossed over it, and he saw the problem there. He's like, that's not proper. So now I feel like I'm able to
why do you do it if you're not going to enjoy it? bask in the glory for a little while.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds good on paper, and maybe
It's good.
The good, the enjoyment part was the act itself.
The journey.
The journey, but also the moment in which I broke the record. It was, I think people expect, oh, why don't you draw out that feeling for a long time? I just felt one potent. Imagine people are like, feel 20% of it for 5 days consecutive or something.
Felt 100.
I felt 100% one in that moment, and it was done, and I'm okay with that. And like that's just how my brain works, because the fun part was done. So now it's like I need another mountain to climb. Like what's the next mountain? And that's why after breaking the Guinness World Record for the box jump, like I didn't box jump nearly as much since I did that, until someone broke it, and then I had to go and re-break it, and now I still have it.
That's because you kind of put it out of reach.
I had to set the tone, and at least it bought me a little bit of time. We'll see how long it lasts, but I feel like I'm that way with everything really, because with jumping, I built my influence in my social media, the rise of my social media influence, I guess, with the skill of jumping, and that was doing it for me then, and I was really into it, and I was really feeling like that was what I was meant to be doing right then and there. But I felt like I accomplished what I set out to do and what I came there to do, with all the numbers that I put up, the records and stuff like that. It's probably like less than 20% of the person who I am, and online you're portraying it as like this is Chris, he's the jumper. Before, this is Chris, he's the football player. But now it's time for me to broaden out and actually show some of my other interests and help inspire in other ways. And it's unclear to me what that exactly looks like and the type of content that I'm posting and whatnot, but I just know that I wanted to break free of only doing that. It doesn't mean that I won't be doing some ridiculous, crazy types of backflips and jumps. I'll probably still find a way to keep that alive and well, but gone are the days where that's just it.
That's you. You're singled into that, right?
Yeah, I'm tired of being boxed into that. So exploring different things and traveling and trying to get all of these things I want to do out before the kids come, so I can enjoy it.
Yeah. The travel should be really fun.
Yeah.
I mean, tasting new foods, seeing cultures.
Yes, as long as it doesn't have wheat in it, right? So.
Right. Yeah, that's good.
But
yeah, that's good. Yeah, good luck.
Yeah,
good luck
that sucks.
That.
So I got
good
Japan. I got Japan coming up. I'm going to Japan in what seems like 14 days, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, something like that. And that's always been my dream trip, man. You remember I was always talking about that. I had this whole trip, like not the itinerary planned exactly day by day, but I've always known the things that I wanted to do, and it's finally happening. It took so long because I couldn't take off of work in my brain. I couldn't shut it off. Have you ever had a feeling like that where, afraid to take off or do things that you actually want to do, but feeling like, oh no, I can't because of work, and you make an excuse and you never end up living?
Yes. Yeah, constantly. Especially work, football. I mean, remember, I coached for a bunch of years, and then you played 3 years of football, and I really didn't. I'd come once a year or something like that. I really wouldn't come watch a game. Then one of the years, I was like, you know what? I'm just going to stop coaching this year, and I'm going to go to all your home games, a couple of your aways if they're close, fairly close. And doing that, I was like, I watch everybody else's kid play football.
Right.
And I'm not there watching my own kid. And I'm
that is interesting. Yeah.
That's got to stop. And I was like, all right, this is his last year. I'm just gonna hang it up. And
did you enjoy watching like that?
100%.
That was my senior year.
It's so much more relaxing being a fan than it is being a coach.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah. No, I loved it. I loved watching your games.
It was good. That era, I mean, I would say even more so than camping or anything. I mean, football obviously connected us more than anything else that I could think of. Grand Theft Auto, but not even close. Not even close. San Andreas, best video game ever. Quote me. But no, football. It, for the first 18 years of my life, maybe more, I thought that was just who I was. Chris, football player, football Chris. That's who the people in the town thought of me. That's who everybody, because that was my brand then. My brand was football player, and now my brand is jumping, and I'm trying to make that same pivot to where I was like, wow, I'm more than just a football player. And then jumping came along, and I kind of just rolled with it. And now I feel like this is another one of these pivot points where it's not clear, but it's the same cycle repeating, where it wasn't football, it was jumping. It wasn't jumping, it's this. It's not this, it's that.
The good thing is you're a little more familiar with what's coming up. You're like, okay, I felt this before. You know, I know how to transition.
Totally. I feel a lot more prepared. Now, before we wrap it up, I wanted to touch on one thing about, we were talking about fatherhood, and obviously there's a big theme of our conversation today, just because it's just so applicable with the time I'm at in my life, but also I think that it's super valuable for my audience to hear different perspectives, see how a father-son interacts at this age, and what the possibilities of that interaction, and it's cool to be able to have that.
My mom was the one that was throwing the football with me outside, playing baseball, throwing the baseball around with me with no gloves. She just taking and throwing it, and it was like,
I can't even. I'm like
you
trying
can't
to
picture my
I
mom
can't
doing
picture
it, right?
grandma doing that. No, because
we used to race down the block.
That's awesome. And this is why we're doing this. We're filming this conversation today, because it's like, I would love to see grandma running. Like, I've never got to see grandma run, and like, she's quite a character.
She used to take her shoes off and just go barefoot running down the street.
That's hilarious.
She used to want to race with my friends and me, and I was like, come on, Mom, you're killing me.
So that's a big reason why I wanted to have this conversation today, because, nothing lasts forever, and we're all going to be gone one day, and it's like, I want to be able to have this footage so that I can show the Spell lineage. Like, this is what your grandfather was like. This is how I was like, and whatnot. Because I've seen.
What's wrong with Grandpa?
I've seen.
Why is he angry all the time?
Why is he so grumpy and loud and yelling at the dog always? And then but he's not angry because he's fine the next moment. But no, I've seen pictures. I remember this one picture. I think you were wearing 88 in the Harlem Hurricanes uniform, and a picture. No. It was a white and blue.
Blue.
What team was that?
ICYP Raiders. I don't even remember what ICYP stood for. It was in Astoria.
So I remember that picture, and it's one of the few. I have some memories because I went when I was younger, but one of the few things that I have of you actually playing football. You played semi-pro for what? 18
years.
18 years. So that one part that I'm really excited for is, and maybe it's selfish, but like to be able to show my kids and have that, baked in. You type my name into Google, you're going to see all these like athletic feats and these things and this content and this podcast and this stuff like that. It's kind of like an immortalization, and I guess.
No, it really is.
And I'm sure that there's some psychoanalyst that's going to say that is some level of narcissism or some self-centeredness or whatnot, but
it's history, dude. It's history.
And I think it's awesome. Imagine a whole lineage. What I'm trying to do with where I'm taking the Spell family is like when I have my sons and daughters, I like the theme of content creation or just the creativeness to live on, and now you have this book. Except it's a video book, and you have documentation of the lives of these people, which you could get your personality out a lot more on video than you can in a book.
Yeah, because they see your mannerisms.
Yeah, so it's like
and we have insecurities.
We have this modern day technology, and I see a lot of people letting it slip through the cracks and not even utilizing it, and then they're gonna kick themselves when they're on the rocking chair when they're 80 years old, and they're gonna be, man, I wish I filmed more. Man, I wish I had more videos with my mom and dad. Man, I wish I took more videos myself so I could show my son and he could show his grandkids. So
that's how I'm feeling right now.
Yeah.
When you just mentioned that, I was like, to all my Harlem Hurricane family, if you have video, hook me up.
Yeah, send it. I want to see.
Yeah, because I know we took video at points
with the VHS.
Yeah,
right?
well,
get that old vintage aesthetic now. That you see on, right, Victor? So, no, but yeah, that's why I wanted to do this today and just get some of your personality on camera, because I think it's dope. I know that there'll be some of Coach Kirk's fans watching.
Probably.
And we'll be excited to tune in.
They don't watch me anymore. They watch you.
Yeah, but sometimes they're just living through me to get to you. No, but no, I think this is probably a good place to end it. So I appreciate you. I would say ask you where the audience could find you, but I don't know if you want them to find you on your social medias and whatnot. That's your typical podcast supposed to plug the guests so that they can just play. Do you have a book coming out or?
I have a book. We won't talk about it now though.
More coming soon, but Dad, it's been great. Love you.
Love you too, man.
And it's a wrap.